Everybody, good morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, disembodied hands, Quindy, disembodied beard, John, and my absentee puppy who has decided we're all just not in enough for her. Teenage girl Kiki is like, oh, I don't even think I need to. But she'll be back later when she wants her walk. Anyway, hello everybody. I hope you're doing well this Tuesday. I get my car windshield. I don't know if I mentioned this to you guys, but my windshield got hit with a rock on the way back from Reapercon. And it has a nice big fishhook crack in it now. So I had been doing the insurance thing. But it looks like it's going to be easy. It only cost me my $100 deductible, so that's good. So they're coming, and they come to my house. Like, this is a mobile glass service. Like, they come to your house. They just replace your windshield right there in your driveway. And then they're like, okay, don't drive it for an hour and don't car wash it for 3 days. Ta-da! Like, crazy cool. I'm like, I don't even have to leave. I don't even have to disrupt my day except to say, howdy, here's my car. Sweet. Like, honestly, like, much easier and much more painless than I expected. So that's a bonus. But it does mean that after that's done, I can't drive for a little bit. So I need to get all my errands done before they come. But yeah, actually surprisingly pain-free. So today we're going to try to blend in the bone from the face here and see what I can do. And see how it looks. And it's probably like, it's just kind of, at this point, a proof of concept, as I like to call them. And I have to decide how I'm going to blend in the hood. Because it's just going to be kind of weird, because the problem is, like, the hood is separate. I made the face that color, so it's like, I don't know. We'll figure out how it's going to look. It might look wonky. We might have to repaint some areas, depending on what works. On the way back from Reapercon, Cornico, a big rock hit my windshield, and at first I didn't see anything. Like, I didn't see anything, like, even after I got home. And then this little crack popped up, and I'm like, oh, it's a little crack. It probably came from that rock. You know? And then the little crack, like, overnight, like, over the last, like, week, is like, woof! Which is what they do. You know, heat and cold. It can just, like, your windshield can just, like, boom! So, yeah. But it's easy. It turns out it's hopefully easy to fix today. So, I'm gonna use skeleton bone, guys. We haven't used skeleton bone. Skeleton bone is a greener bone. It's the, it's not as much as the skeleton, color from Pathfinder. Or am I? No, I am. That's right. It's bones. So it's a little bit of a greenish bone. But it's a grayish bone. It's more of a neutral. You know, it's a neutral bone. Should work. Yeah, it's the perils of road trips. Honestly, out of all the road trips I've ever taken, this is the only first time in all of my life. And I've taken a lot of road trips, folks. My only first time that the windshield has ever gotten a crack. So, pretty good odds, actually, there. So, yeah. So, let's see here. This is going to be interesting. I'm going to start with the skeleton bone. I'm going to mix a shadow color. I think I'm going to use... I want some drama, so I think I'm actually going to use brown liner mixed with the skeleton bone to create a shadow for it. You can mix any brown or gray into a darker brown or gray into a bone color to make a shadow for it. It's better if it's a brownish gray. Brownish gray. Sorry. Still have half my brain on windshield and half my brain on actual painting. If you're dealing, because most bone colors are brownish grays. So if you add something, have it have black and brown in it. Although you can also use Kiki. Enough. She's been hearing crap today. It's probably somebody in next door neighbor's yard. So like shield brown, this is a grayish brown. So you could go this way if you wanted a warmer bone. But if you're going to do that, you almost should use creamy ivory instead of something like skeleton bone that has more gray in it. So look at your bone color, assess whether it is more brown or more gray or a mix of the both, and then choose your shadow color accordingly. Construction stuff. Yeah, it was just like, I don't know, random coming back from Flagstaff. It was that last long push. And something like, I don't even know what car it was ahead of me or truck ahead of me that threw up this rock, but it hit, and it was like a huge, like, bam sound. Kiki, enough, and settle down. many photos of the sparrowhawk. Very nice. Kiki, either stop it or you're going to be penned back here. Settle down. Yeah. Yeah, Miss Barky. Yeah. What the bleep? What the bleep? There's probably just people out there. You know, we live next to people. And sometimes they make noises. I know. I know. You love me, and I love you, except when you're a giant dweeb. And right now, you're a giant dweeb. Yeah. Can you settle down, please? Work. Yeah, it's work time. I love you, but please be quiet, okay? Good girl. Okay, Borky girl. Yes, I think Borky girl is definitely the term. All right, so I put a drop of brown liner into my 2 drops of skeleton bone. I think I'll go 3 drops of skeleton bone because the brown liner is dark enough. It's going to really hit that skeleton bone pretty hard. So we shall see how dark it goes. I do want some drama, but I don't want it to be crazy. The nice thing about using the brown liner is since it's already translucent, when you thin it, you'll be able to get a more subtle color out of it. All right, I'm going to leave my base skeleton bone pretty strong. Pretty strong. Oh, hey, yesterday, so I mentioned a couple days, on Sunday, we printed the braziers that are going to go onto Corindra. One of them will, anyway. So yesterday, I got them off the plate in the morning and washed them, and then David de-sprued them. Okay, so that actually didn't hit as hard as I thought. So I actually need a darker color than this even. That's the gray that I got, mixing the brown liner in. So let's make an even darker shadow. But that'll be a good transition color, so it's at least a couple of steps different in value from our skeleton bone, which is an off-white. So let's do this. Let's do a 50-50 and see how that looks. Well, yeah, but I don't like her to bark, Pendrake. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for the fact that we live really close to our neighbors. And also because I don't want her to get the habit of just barking at anything during the day because she's bored. Yeah, I'm going to go darker. So you may enjoy her barking, but the neighbors and I do not enjoy her barking. This is not generally a barky breed, but they will bark to alert, and she needs to learn not to alert when there's just, stuff going on next door. Right, Agent Marvel has it on the nose. It's all, cute until it's not. And I never encourage my dogs to bark. That's that's kind of how you get in trouble with smart breeds like this. I cannot even tell you the number of people who thought it was cute for their puppy to, defend them when the puppy was little, that when it grew into a 100-pound or 120-pound Shiloh, essentially had that behavior locked in place and then would bark and lunge at people who tried to get close to their owner. I cannot even tell you, how many people got into that situation. So, yeah. Best to, control the situation if you can. Yeah, sorry for the Terabad day. I'm always sorry when somebody has a Terabad day. All right, so let us get mousy. We're going to see if I can blend in the bone here. And then we'll see if I want to blend in the bone even more, headed out toward these. And I'll have to figure out this cloth stuff on the wrists. I might actually make the ghosty color and just make the bone come out at the fingertips and around the sword. I think I did make the cloth on this side ghosty, so we'll have to do that. Oh gosh, no, I grew up with a Sheltie. That's why I have an aversion to Borky dogs. All right, I'm going to start with my mid-gray. It's going to be about the same color as the bones. But it's also about the same value as the Phantom Glow. So I should be able to kind of blend these two together. So essentially I'm going to be bringing this color up and into the eye sockets a little bit. And then I'll be bringing the Phantom Glow down a little bit when I'm highlighting the bone. So I want to kind of mix these two things in, which means I need my Phantom Glow. Duh. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Suffice to say, I do not want to encourage barkiness. Especially not since a lot of the time Kiki has to just, it's not like, she's a higher energy dog. And so if I encourage that outlet, I'm going to end up with a very barky dog. Because it helps her work off energy, right? So, yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool if you posted it on the forums or put it on my cute animals Discord channel, Kreniko. I want to see. Not that a hawk is particularly cute, but it's close enough. Hello, Hawk Crowley. That's cool, Twistoma. If you miss a day, we'll miss you, but we totally understand. It's important. You take care of yours. All right, so yeah, this is almost an indistinguishable color from the base Siacast material, which is funny. This skeleton bone plus brown liner. I'm going to just do a little bit of blending, wet blending, in fact, haha. Although I don't want so much wet blending on this model as I want kind of more translucent layering. It's what's going to give us the best kind of fade looking. You almost want to leave kind of streamers of energy that can be seen to get that feeling of the spiritual energy coalescing or diffusing. Does it give you the heebie-jeebies? Yeah, definitely good thoughts for you and hubby, Twistedoma. It's very stressful to go into all that health crap, I know, because I've been putting off doing my lab work. And that's simple compared to what you're going through. So. That's because I have to disrupt my morning for the lab work and starve myself, though. It's always annoying. But I should do it, and I probably should do it sooner than later. So, Quindy, expect me to pick a day. I guess we'll pick a day next week. Maybe Tuesday or Thursday. Where I'll just not stream in the morning, and I'll have to go and sit at the lab in queue. Because they won't let me make a gosh darn appointment. Don't get me started. Stupid website, stupid lab people. Alright, so we're painting in a shadow inside the mouth to create the illusion of mass. Because ghosty things don't have shadows, which is why we will only highlight up from the Phantom stuff. But ghostly things that are coalescing into physical form do have shadows. And so we put shadows over the part of the model where it's coming into physical reality. Yeah, those days suck, Kreniko. Yeah, it's just routine lab work. It's just that the pain in the butt is just that their website isn't allowing me to make an actual appointment, so I have to go and wait. And that is just such a pain in the butt. All right, so we've got a shadow inside the mouth. And I'm going to work some of the shadow into the rest of this physical area here. So I'm going to outline the teeth, just like I would normally. Probably just going to paint them dark and go over them. Little teefies. Such a cute little, ghostly, horrible, about to suck your life force out mouse. Yeah, cruddy day. Sorry, Kreniko. But you got a bird. I had a new bird at my bird feeder yesterday, or the day before. I have to look it up. It's bound to be some sort of a finch or sparrow, but it has a very stripy head. It's got a gray body, and then really stark, like, feather, as far as its back and feathers, like really bright light and dark patterning on its back feathers, and then stripies on its head, black and white stripes. And the beak looks, it's so hard to tell finch from sparrow sometimes because the beak, it looked like a finch, like it had a wider beak, but it might have been a sparrow because it just, sometimes I can't even tell them apart. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I finally got my first flu shot this year. And it made me feel like I had the flu for a whole day. So next year I'll be prepared for that. And call into work with Quindy here the next day. Like, what's the point of a flu vaccine that makes you essentially catch the flu for 2 days? I guess it's supposed to keep you from catching the flu the rest of the time, but it just seems, I don't know. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I'm just grumbling. I'm grumbling because I'm being forced to adult. You know, sometimes you just have to let yourself do that. So I'm outlining all the teeth and I'm putting in some shadows here. I'm going to outline this little jawbone thing, I think. Oh, flu shot. Get ready, dog father. Maybe it won't hit you as hard as it hit me. But it definitely, like, I had a fever and couldn't sleep that night. And it was annoying. Especially when I know I'm not actually sick. I know it's just the shot, right? It's like, ugh, really? Really? Anything that disrupts my sleep gets my ire. It gets my wrath. Sleep is number one. David is getting to know this. He's starting to understand. I cannot function if I don't have enough. White crowned sparrow, but don't take that as gospel. Yeah, it's got stripy head and really bright and dark patterned feathers and a gray underbelly. And I couldn't see, I think the beak was pretty neutral colored. That's why I couldn't see if it was, unlike the little juncos that have the flesh colored beak. They're easy to spot. I have the cutest juncos. They're the brown ones with the brown with a light underbelly, and then the head is all like in a black hood, like an executioner's hood. They're executioner juncos. They're adorable though. Yesterday, a junco and a chickadee were taking a bird bath together, and it was adorbs. Especially because the chickadee is like, it's like it never trusts how deep the water is. Like, it goes back on its butt and it backs down into the water. Like, it's like, is this going to be too deep? Is this going to be too deep? It's so funny. They're so funny to watch. Yeah, we're being in the house with only adults and, well, except for Kiki, but she doesn't handle the plates. All right, let's get some bone color in here, and then let's see how far I need to push it back into the spectral stuff to make it look right. I think I'm gonna thin this dark color a little bit more now that I'm done base coating with it. Yeah, right. Right, Asian Marble, yeah. Yeah, I just got the tetanus and the flu. And the flu just knocked me out. I don't think I would actually get the COVID and the flu together if I got the COVID shot again. Just too much crap. Especially with you, you've got a toddler. Like, you need all the energy you can get to get through the day. Being like, having your sleep disrupted and being sick for the next several days. Just not optimal. All right, bone color it is. Skeleton bone, here we go, coming online. We get his little teeth coming out. These whittle fangs. Sorry, Mousy, I just have to. You're too cute to not talk in whittle speak. Little mouse wraith. Oh, I understand, Turgeon. I understand. I'm still gonna bitch about it. Remember, complaining is the human planet's like planetary hobby. Like if we had a national hobby for like except a planetary one, that's complaining is it. That's the human race's hobby. So although I understand the whole point of it, the problem is that I had not gotten sick in so long that I was spoiled. I was like, la, my immune system is awesome. And then whoomp. And I was like, no. Grumble, grumble. I can still grumble about it, dang it. You can be that guy. I'll still grumble. I won't hold it against you that you're trying to be logical, but my inner child is like, nope. Oh, man. My inner child is so screwed up sometimes. I'm definitely in the weeds of self-helpery lately. Deep in the weeds. Doing some pretty crazy work. Trying to iron out my foibles. So I've stopped making myself anxious, so I'll stress eat, but if I'm really actually honestly stressed, I'm still struggling with the stress eating a bit. But I'm getting better. I'm improving now that I'm actively looking at it. I managed to calm it down a little yesterday and not stress eat like an entire 2 chocolate chip cookies and just have a small piece of chocolate instead. So I'm counting that as a win. Oh yeah, so many things. No, I mean, some humans, the thing is that some humans have that hobby, Pendrake, but many of us don't. Obviously you don't. Obviously I don't. Whereas all of us like to complain. Like, I don't think there's a single human on the planet that does not like to kvetch. If you showed me the human who does not enjoy complaining, at least every once in a while, you're looking at a saint. So, yeah. Humans love to complain. And many of the complaints are valid. We still love to do it. There's something inside of us, even though we're complaining, that loves complaining. Even if we're complaining about something that we really hate, we still love to complain about it. Oh, yeah. Neat, crows. So, I forgot to tell you guys. I mentioned the brazier earlier, but I forgot to show you. I think this is the right size. I need to still take the little connector lumps off of it. But this is our little brazier. You remember when I showed it to you as a little file. So I need to trim off its little feet, and I need to green so that I can set it very nicely on the top of the griffin head. But I think that this is the correct size. I didn't want something so big. I wanted something big enough to maybe be a watchfire on a point. But that wouldn't block her, right? And so I think this is the right size for Corindra. Anything bigger would get really distracting, I think. But this, I think, will be okay. So just need to pretty much level out the top of the griffin's head with some green stuff and then stick the feet of the brazier in once I've got it primed and prepped. But it's a very cute little brazier. I really like it. I think it came from a Goblin Lord's encounter or something, but although it is rough hammered, I think it would be just as good as a dwarven or human brazier because it does have a decorative band. So it's very nice. And the flames are pretty cool. Like, it's actually like fire. Enough like fire. I don't feel like I have to change it, really. I think it's good. Yeah, I think I'm glad you think so, Hendrik. Yeah, I think the size of it is good. It's not distracting. So yeah, so yay for 3D resin printer, guys. This is exactly the kind of stuff that David and I originally wanted the printer for. Little bits and bobbins where making them from scratch is such a pain in the butt. But that a 3D printer makes very easy. And you still have to do the work of like getting into the printer and printing it and washing it and curing it and prepping it. But it pretty much, like, I feel like I don't need a bits box. Except to store, like, we did print extra braziers at different sizes. Some of them are teensy. Oh my gosh! It's so cute. I did not expect it to even print. It was so tiny. Because David didn't know what size we wanted, because we're looking at it, we're like, I don't know. So we printed a whole bunch of sizes, and that was the biggest one we printed, which is 70% of the original size of the file. But we also printed like a 30% one. It's a tiny little brazier. It's so cute. Oh my gosh. I don't know what we would use it for, but it's adorable. Sorry, Cornico. The little flames, though. The little tiny flames. Oh my gosh. Oh, so cute. The smaller it gets, the cuter it gets. So, as far as I'm concerned. Alrighty. So now I want to do kind of a mid color here with the bone. I'm going to start moving the bone into the Phantom Glow. The bone color is lighter than the Phantom Glow, so it should work actually as a highlight for this area. But you see how we're starting to kind of blend it so that it's coming out. I do have a really dark shadow there. I probably want to mitigate that a little bit. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of my Phantom over the top of that. Going to keep part of it, as you can see, but not nearly as dark as it was. That's a little better. But yeah, I posted up a really cool one that I found. Yeah, I'm totally not going to help you here, Kirniko, because this is so cool. But I think on my Discord I put it up. I need to find where it is. Nope, it's not there. I think it's there. Yeah! So cool. It's the town message board where you can get quests, everybody. It's so cool. And this was all Jazzion's fault. It's from a company called Infinite Dimensions, and it's from their Torbridge town setting. So it's the message kiosk quest board. Yeah, I love it. I kind of want one. I have no use for it, but it would make you could put it and make it a great, like, little diorama. Like, if you could find the adventure, the pointing adventure, and then the other ones, you know. You could entitle it Considering the Quest. Or Considering the Options. It would make for a cute little diorama. How about that? But that's what a lot of this stuff really, I think, empowers us to do, is to have more options for dioramas. Because a lot of these kind of pieces, they wouldn't really sell if a company put them out individually. Not really, not to the point where a player character would, right? But having them up as STLs, you can just keep it up. It costs you nothing, right? Put tiny post-it notes on it. Don't encourage me. Or print it bigger. I could print it bigger. It would look like... I would need the small post-its. No, let's not go there. Anne needs a quest board. Do I need to create a quest board for myself? It'd be amazing. My to-do list is actually a mini quest board. I could YouTube that and it would go viral. I could put a little title on the top, a little board that says daily quests. And have things like walk the dog, make supper. That would totally be a TikTok video that everybody would love. Not that I ever intend to start TikToking. Uh-huh. Alright, so getting these little teeth. Little teeth. Teeth. Undead mice have molars, who knew? Just relining the teeth a little bit, just make sure that they stand out. And I'll get my top teeth here, and we'll work more of the bone up. I printed my new dragon bust too, but I'm not going to bring him in today because I don't want to get too into him. I need to finish Crystal Dragon. He's my project to start after Crystal Dragon. He's bigger than Crystal Dragon. David and I just looked at the plinths, like we sized it off of looking at comparing the plinths. We're like, we want them to be the same size. So, but we totally like didn't realize how much taller. We should have downsized this dragon because he's much bigger than Crystal Dragon. Not that he looks really cool, but he would be more paintable, I think, if he was smaller, more, you know, less overwhelming. But now we have him, so I'm painting him at the scale we got him at. And we'll just have to, like, use our brains and kind of think in the future about how big we want things. Because I have more dragon busts, I have more dragons to print, so I need to figure out how to do it without being overwhelmingly large. I'll get him and show you guys at some point over the next couple days. I just don't want to disrupt today any more than I already have. Doesn't work that way, Pendrake. It's funny. I mean, I do have scaled up brushes, remember? I have, all my big brushes are in the other room already. I have that number 2 and number 3 Da Vinci that I really like. They're just immense. But that's not where my enjoyment level sits with miniatures. My enjoyment level sits with micro detail, which is why it's still fun to do 28s because they're small. But I really like those big ones for doing little tiny details. So the problem with it when it gets bigger is I still am trying to do those little details and it just takes me too long to paint the figure and I lose oomph for it because it's taking too long. I've learned, I'm slowly learning to hack my brain and figure out what is going on with me when I give up on a project. So and my brain definitely does get impatient. Like, it wants to ride the wave of its enthusiasm. But if the rewards are not seen soon enough, then it does get impatient. Which is a hard thing to have as your major malfunction when you're a slow painter like me. Or slower, at any rate. Yeah, Kroniko, yeah. I like smaller dragons. I think it makes it easier and less intimidating to encourage people to paint more dragons. There, see? Now you can in good conscience argue. Because we all know that we just want more people to paint dragons so that the people who make dragons will make more. So there you go, Kroniko. Ta-da! That's how you can convince your brain to argue for smaller dragons. Yeah. That's fair, Zachariah. Hey, improvement is good. Let's do at least 4 small ones. Alright, so I think it's time to figure out this hood. And I feel like I want to make it phantomy around the face. And then blend it in up here toward the end. So I'm going to do that. Much as I thought I was going to want the demarcation, but I'm like, maybe I don't. So That's where I said we'd be painting over some stuff today. And I'll need to get my cloth color, which is going to be a black, out. But if I push the phantom color back, I can join it up with the ears here. And maybe when I was I'll still be able to bring the rest of the colors in. And I thinned my paint too much. Dang it. Too thin. Only if they're sculpted visually. I don't know. My crystal dragon isn't huge. My bust. He's still a very nice dragon. Of course, if he was full size, he would be pretty big. I was too tired last night to paint. I ran myself out of oomph yesterday because I almost finished an entire PDF for my Patreon. I spent like all day doing swatches or mixing colors and testing them and yada 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 to make my new $5 PDF. And it's about red versus red, not red versus blue, but red versus red, because I got that Purell red, that Pro Acryl Purell red, and I analyzed it and ran it through its paces, and I tested it against MSP Clear Red, Chimera Colors Red, and Scale Color Primary Red. And I broke it down as to what's the best for what. So that's my new $5 PDF, which I'm pretty happy with. But it was a lot of work yesterday. And then I cooked dinner because I had beef chuck that I had to use. So I had to make beef stew, which is always an undertaking. Plus you have to cook it for an hour after you manage to throw it together. I just exhausted my spoons. There we go. That's not too bad. All right. And then I'll start bringing in color. What color? I was going to make the cloth black. Obviously, that's an obvious choice. I don't know. I need to get this little arm part too. And make the arm mostly ghostly, make the hand bony. No, not at all. These are directly putting them up against each other as performers, Pendrake. They're all very close to the same red, really close, like super hard to even tell the difference. But 3 of them have different pigments. And the MSP has they all have different bases from each other. So that's going to influence a lot about how they actually act when you go to use them for mixing, glazing, layering, base coating, all the rest of that. So even though they're the same, almost exactly the same color, they're all really saturated bright reds. They act very differently when you actually go to use them. So I did a head-to-head. Also, people wanted me to kind of test the Pro Acryls, and that's the only Pro Acryl I have. It's probably the only Pro Acryl I will buy. Because at this point in my career, I'm not picking up a lot of blended colors from other companies. I'm more interested in their single pigment offerings if they're different pigments. And Purell Red previously was not present in the art market, is again an example of the art market stealing a pigment from a different market and repurposing it. Well, we have our anniversary is coming up on this coming week early, so on the weekend we're going out to a nice dinner. So that'll help. That'll help Critico. And usually I only need a day to recover spoons, unless I really, really blow myself out, like at Reapercon, then I need a couple few. But I got good sleep last night, I think, so it felt like I did. So I am recovered, but yes, last night I just couldn't paint. I just didn't have it in me. So I'm overlapping a bit of the color onto the cloth. Kind of looking, that's a strap. I'm going to go a little bit underneath too. I just really want to make kind of a blended transition, so we'll just travel it out and then we'll see. And I'm probably going to use my Phantom Glow. I'll do these straps as straps and the armor as armor, but I'm going to do Phantom Glow on the edges. I'm probably going to have to do NMM on this because as we discussed prior on the Bronze Golem, once you go for one faux effect, illusory effect, like lighting in this case, you have to stick to your guns and make everything that way. If we put a real metallic on here, any effect of a glow is going to immediately die. But yeah. So just based on dealing with the red, I would say that the Pro Aqua color is very comparable to MSP. But definitely a different finish. That was the thing that... and I did notice separation. So there, you've got a couple of notes for those of you who... however, better coverage, because usually when a paint separates, it's because they're going for coverage. Alrighty. I think we've got about what I want. I think I'm going to do the back of the sword too, just a little. So like it's like going to be coming out of that. So we can get some more ghostly energy. So we'll be doing NMM on this one. Maybe I'll go shopping around the monster section of the Reaper store and see if there's anything we can do with bigger metallic plates that we can do true metallics on. Although we just did true metallics on Corindra, so it's not like we haven't done it recently. There. And then I want to get, I'll be bringing ghosties up onto this too, so ghosties. Just need to make sure that it's irregular ghosties. So here, we're not just going to do this plate, we're going to kind of stipple some of this energy up and make it very irregular. And when we go back in and start painting the metal, we're going to do it the reverse. We'll essentially bring some of the metal down into the ghosties. We'll do it back and forth. Yeah, I mean, I would say as long as you are willing to work with the finish, which is just a little glossier than MSP, at least if you're doing like base coating. But base coating is where it shines because of the coverage. It's got good smoothness too. But yeah, you're a patron, aren't you, Zachariah? You'll read the PDF because I do break it down versus the other colors and I show examples. I swatched a thinned I brought them all to the same viscosity and then swatched them over black and over white. And then layered with them, and it's a good breakdown. It's a good breakdown of what each of the brands are good at. Good. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you love my Patreon. I also love my Patreon. There. All right, so we'll have some fun. Yeah, they do work differently because they have the higher coverage thing going for them. If they're at all like the Pure Red, it means they're going to be resistant to thinning as far as doing layering, glazing, etc. But again, I don't want to spoiler the whole PDF, but read it if you're a patron. After it's been out for a little while, then I'll talk a little bit more about them just because I don't want to just spoiler all of my information for you here on the stream when my patrons haven't even gotten it yet. All right. I think I'm going to bring the black down a little bit and maybe into the ghosties here. Because that's another thing we can do, right? We've got very little material here. And we want to show that it's corporeal, it's coming out and forming. But at the same time, the other thing we can do is bring some of that color down into the ghosties if we're dealing with too thin of a band of material. So we'll be kind of dancing along an edge there. When it's a really thin band of material, it's hard to do it, hard to make it convincing, but... Oh, wow. Thank you, Karniko. Yay. You can always downsize to a smaller level. I don't mind. Like, that's what I typically do if I hit a budget thing, and I do look at my Patreons that I support, but I typically just try to support them at a lower level rather than like cutting them entirely. But it does. I mean, I have cut ones in the past, so alrighty. Alrighty. I think now let's do the little pause. Pause. It's pause time. Pause time. Get a nice base coat on them. But yes, I definitely appreciate your support, Kuriko, no matter what level it's at. And hopefully my free people, I should announce again my free stuff. Because my free people do get advanced access to the fundamentals videos. Alright, so I'm just like popping a little bit of the gray going up back into this area. I want to keep a fair amount of, I want it kind of interchangeable between the ghosties and the corporeal color. Hey, Slayer. Awesome. Yeah, paint along. Like, I've got a lot up in there now. I think I have to make the next thing, like, 3D printable to make sure everybody can either get a copy from Etsy or print it themselves or have a friend print it or another patron print it, because we ran into problems using a Dark Sword model for one of our 28s because he doesn't ship to Europe, so I was like, So we've got two, and both of our 28s are Dark Swords, so this new place, I think I'm going to actually try to push Moonlight Minis, try to get Christine one of her sculpts into the paint along, and that'll let you something that you can hopefully buy off of her store or have a friend print or a fellow patron print and ship to you. Uh-oh, well, it's not me anymore, dang it. It's not my freaking network card. It's not the freaking stuff. It's not my fault. It's definitely Twitch. Twitch or my internet, one or the other. Just because it's FiOS doesn't mean it doesn't have blurps. Oh! Hey guys. It's going up and down. Internet. Don't be stupid. Double bad because I'm plugged directly into the router. Yeah, sometimes I'm just going to attribute it to Twitch, I think. Oh, dearie me. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I don't know if Trash is in chat right now, but he was really nice, and he got me a Blorf graphic, guys. I hope you'll all like it, and I will. If you do, then I will. Once we have it finalized, I will show it to you, and I will put up a Zazzle store. I have the means to sell stuff through Patreon, but I think I can only sell it to my patrons, and I have to pay for producing it all, whereas Zazzle's a little bit easier to just set up and go. Not as much money back. That's the downside, right? If you're willing to pay the setup and production costs on something, you always make more of a margin, or have the potential to. But I really don't want to mess with that at this stage of my career, so Zazzle it is. Alright, so just blocking in the undersides of this material. Well, there are plenty of squirrels on our cables. Oh, a Chibi Mononoke, yeah. Yeah, I think maybe we'll do it. I'm like I've been now that I'm painting Chibi Owlbear, I'm like, we could do that Chibi Mononoke. Although I'm not the Chibi expert. Like, that's Drew. Drew is such a Chibi expert. And so there's some others, too. I feel like I would paint a Chibi like Anne would paint a Chibi, and it would be a very different Chibi from anybody else's. Alright. Hi there, Papa. Do you want me to give you my knee? You want to come up? Okay. Papa wants to say hi, everybody. Hi, Papa. Hi. Hello, sweet face. What's up? You know you have a giant head, right? You know you do. Oh, I might have painted you with Phantom Glow. I'm sorry. If you have green in your fur, it's my fault. If you have green in your fur. Mwah. Mwah. You just want to be in my lap, huh? Look at this. Giant lap. This is her thing lately. She comes up to get a hug. Or to give a hug. I haven't decided which. But she lies in my lap and leans against me. Is this ridiculous or is this ridiculous? David is like ridiculously, Hey, you good? You good? Okay. David is very jealous. I told him it's not fair because she always wants to play with him. Like, I wish she would play with me more. Right, baby girl? But she gives hugs to me. So I get hugs. Right, I get hugs. Good girl. Yeah, sure, so good. You just always want to play with Dad, right? Yeah, because Dad is more fun to play with than me. Yeah, it's a good girl. Okay, Bubba. I gotta work, okay? Come on down. Come on down. Come on. No. Aw. Good girl. Good girl. Yes, I love you. I love you, but I've got to work. Work. Yep, you got another half an hour, baby. Sorry, we got another half an hour. Yeah, you cutie. Good girl. She just want pettins. She just want the pettins. Yeah. Okay, Bubba. Definitely a few of them. Interesting. Okay, let's get the bone on the other. I've got bone mostly on the other paw. All right. So I want to get the highlights on the bone and the shadows. I think I'm going to shade. I've thinned my shadow a lot, so it's not going to be as hard or as harsh. But I want to line between the bones on the paw. Yeah, that was a sweet Kiki. Not trying to eat my Fitbit or anything. She just wanted a hug. Although I'm kind of worried that the clinginess lately in the last couple days is that she's going to be coming in heat soon because she's due. I was hoping she'd hold off until we got back from Hawaii. But she is due to go in right when we leave for Hawaii. Like, it's just like right before. I'm like, oh well. I just didn't want to stick the dog sitter with that, but it's not like it's a big deal. She just, especially not for the first week, but then she has to just stay in the yard until she's done. I'm going to shade the bottom of the paw a lot. You can see that shadow coming out. That's the sweet face. That's the sweet face. Maybe a little bit of a sad face because she's not getting a walk right now, but... Okay, and then bones on the other one. And I might wipe out some of these shadows if I feel like I've gone too heavy. But I do want these, I do want the bones wrapped around, the bones at the end of the paw and the bones wrapped around the sword to look very physically there. So shadows are necessary. But yeah, that's one sign that female dogs in heat or who are close are usually very cuddly. They get very clingy. So we'll see. It could just be a thing, or it could be that she's getting close to it. I'll have to remind David that that's coming up so you can keep an eye on her too this weekend at the park if they run into other dogs. Okay, so just lining that. But yeah, I'm really hoping she'll hold off till we get back. But who knows? All right, let's get this bone painted with the highlights. One thing about using skeleton bone is that even though it is greener, you're really not going to notice it because it's up against this really vibrant phantom glow, which is also greenish and much more greenish than the bone. So I threw all my energy at Patreon yesterday. Today's a writing day. But I can't blow all my energy today because tonight is CrossFit night. CrossFit will blow all my energy. Yeah, Bloodless Skin is too desaturated. Power Palette is... That's why I say Power Palette is not ideal for some things. Honestly, I would mix the Moth and Dark Olive Green, and then I would use the Moth Green for the highlight. It was overcast here yesterday. Slayer, it really... Like, usually I write out a to-do list the night before. Like, I kind of plan, and that's just the planning part of me. It likes to know what I'm going to be working on. But at the same time, if something comes up, I'm pretty strategic about it. I just kind of, like, play it by ear at that point. So, like, if this car thing ends up taking more of my energy than I think it will, then I'll adapt. But as far as, like, what I work on from day to day, I usually kind of plan. Patreon is number one. Patreon is always priority one. And then the writing is the next priority. And, of course, there's always the household stuff, like supper always is on my to-do list. Either, whether it's easy or not. It's going to be leftovers tonight because last night was just a lot of work. I also have learned over the course of the past couple of years to put less things on my to-do list rather than more. Like, usually I'll just have two big tasks on my to-do list as far as creative energy for the day. Like, it might be edit and post up my Patreon and then just work on writing for the rest of the afternoon. And then I get to the point where I stop my workday and start working on house stuff. Yeah, although I think moth green is just too bright. Like, I might use dungeon slime instead. And I might always have a little bit of that olive in there. So, I just like to do orcs that way. And trolls, but I don't really have a good example, sadly. Yeah, I don't really. But if you're using like Troll Hide and you mix like Dungeon Slime into it, you'll get a lighter mid-green that's a little bit washed out, but it's not as grayish as Bloodless Skin. The problem with Bloodless Skin as a highlight is you're putting it over like something really saturated. That's a no. So that should have been your first question mark when you use the Power Palette. Always remember, really bright colors and really muted colors do not go together. They will clash. So that was your first, like, that should have been your first little question mark in your head. You should have questioned that when the Power Palette gives you something like that. And that's why I say Power Palette, not ideal. Oh, I always put them in the freezer, Penry. Like, I tend to make big batches and then freeze half of the leftovers. So we have 2 dinners out of them. But yeah, so that's why the Bloodless Skin isn't going to work with the Moth Green, because it's just too muted. Yeah, but you know what? You can go back in that and use like Naga Green to glaze over the top. Or you could use Naga Green coming up from Troll Hide with Dungeon Slime on the top. But avoid using anything too muted or too bright. I think that Naga is fairly saturated, but it should work okay. Because your shadows and highlights naturally desaturate. Your problem was using a really desaturated highlight with it. A really muted highlight. So I would, she was pretty bright as I recall. Hold on. I'll look it up and let you see. Wizard of Oz. But in general, always question the Power Palette if it tells you to use a really grayed out color over the top of a bright one. That's just like, You'd be better off just going with pure white over the top of that Moth Green. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, all right. So also when you're using photographs, it's really difficult because you've got the natural shading, right? So you've got a very blue light on this side, a very white light, probably a spot. And then you're getting a lot of the yellow on this side. So that's really difficult. And then you look at, that and this one, and it's much more blue. Images. So you have to decide which version of which lighting you're going to go for, right? That's much more blue. This is much more green. And then there's kind of one here with more of an olive tone. So I would say, yeah, this is like the shadows here, like Naga Green would fit right around here with a little bit of Dungeon Slime in it. I would say definitely go up to mostly Dungeon Slime with a little bit of Naga. I don't know about using an olive for the shadows. I might just add some dark red to the Naga. I don't know that I'm not sure if olive will read right, but maybe. Or you could just add black to your Naga, which should take it toward olive. Yeah. I mean, it is pretty bright, but this is just, it's... Like, the Power Palette is just trying to find, like the closest thing in the line that is, that's close enough. But remember, it's also limited by the fact that you're clicking on a pixel. And that pixel from that picture, could be weird. And remember that if you think it's too bright, you can always add a little bit of olive or a little bit of, like a little touch of brown liner or something to tone it down. Don't be afraid to mix. All right. Other paw. I'm going to mix up my paint a little bit because it's... If I was doing it, I'd probably use Naga. I'd mix a tiny bit of like Dragon Red from Bones into the Naga to create a shadow. I probably would carry a tiny bit of that Dragon Red back into the Naga Green to mute it just a little. And then I would use maybe Dungeon Slime to mix my highlights if I was doing that color. I'm gonna do, all right. Toads, I see. Cool, Donnie. There are giant toads in Texas, so I'm really not surprised that we have a pack of giant toads, though they do not immediately come to mind. Though it could have been a past Kickstarter sculpt that I just didn't see. Yeah, the monsters are fun. Just getting our little bony ghost mouse paws going on here. There. It's coming along. It's getting there. Oh, the ice toads. Yeah. I liked the ice toads. If I have to pick one of like that kind of size of monster, I think Julie's Plague Rats were my favorite to paint up. I had a lot of fun painting those. Yeah, alright, little paws. Yeah, I don't think I ever got to paint the toads. Those were, if it's a sculpt I'm thinking of, if they're the older sculpts, then we already had painted examples by the time I came on board. A little bit of shading between these bones. There. Yeah, maybe you did. I vaguely remember them. Maybe you did paint those, Zachariah. I wonder if I should just take some bone and use it to highlight the mouse ears a little bit. Hopefully Kiki's not chewing anything. She oughtn't. She's in the other room and I hear crunching. So getting a little bit of highlight on that. And I'll try to suggest kind of tie a link between these two by using the bone right up here and then going right to it at the ear. We'll see if it's successful. Yeah. But it's not Luca Day. But that doesn't mean he couldn't show up. But yeah, on the subject of Energy Slayer, honestly, I do habits a lot, and so I pretty much compartmentalize that energy. Like, it's just something I automatically do, so I don't feel like it costs energy. Stuff like taking Kiki for a walk, going to the store on certain days, taking my evening walk, stuff like that. Although walks actually give me back energy most of the time. That's the thing, is remember that not everything in your life will take away energy. There's also, you can restore energy pennies. So I took a walk last night to restore some energy pennies, and I did end up doing a little bit of creative work in the evening, but just not painting. But yeah, and the things that give you energy pennies back are going to depend on kind of your personality. Although some things are kind of universal, like some non-strenuous exercise, like a relaxing walk, or if you like to run, then a loose jog. Nothing that, like, really, CrossFit is not necessarily energizing for me. I come out of it pretty tired, although my brain is pretty alive, so maybe it does restore energy pennies. But, like, for example, I am very, I live by my to-do lists, and making lists actually gives me energy. It, like, gets me excited about possibilities and stuff like that. Yeah. See you later, Dogfather. Hey, wait, that's Crowley's line. Right, yeah. See, I have an automatic walk every night unless I've got CrossFit. Like, it's just what I do after dinner. I feel weird if I don't do it. It's just like, it's part of my habit routine now. It's like, clean up after supper, have dessert, take a walk. And so having it on automatic habit means I don't have to think about it and don't have to put, like, any time into prepping for it or anything. I was kind of figuring out the other day how many, like, blocks I have in my day, because I've also got the kind of brain that likes to concentrate on one thing and get really stuck in on it. So that means at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. So usually I've got, like, 2 blocks after lunch. My morning block is here with you guys after breakfast, and then usually I've got 2 blocks in the afternoon. And then I usually take my power nap, and right after that I have to go to the store. It's like an errands block after that. Go to the store, or play Frisbee with Kiki is one of my automatic things that happens after my power nap. Because Kiki needs her playtime, so I've turned it into a habit that I've scheduled in. We do it every day at the same time. I'm going to accentuate the bone on this. And then... Then I have one evening block, right? I can use it for painting. I can use it for computer gaming. Technically, I've got a couple of things that I could do there, but usually I just devote it to one thing. But yeah, all sorts of things can give you energy pennies. Like, another thing is I like to learn new things. I really, really do. It's a key part of my personality that I'm willing to learn almost anything. It really helped me when Ed handed off the paint department to me, because I was willing to do the deep dive and learn the paint chemistry. In fact, I looked forward to it, right? Kiki, you better not be hitting the glass. If you are, I'm closing the door. She's like, yup, I was. Yup, I know, I'm not going to give you the knee. Sorry, not going to give you the knee this time because you're being bad. Yeah, you're being bad to get attention. I'm going to exile you if you keep it up, you little fuzzball. Hey there, casual painter. But yeah, but getting back to energy, because I like to learn, because I get so much energy, so much enjoyment from it, it does give me energy. So if I sit down with, like, a book on a new topic, I'll get energy from that. Or if I go to like doing my ZBrush tutorial, or not my ZBrush, my Nomad tutorials, actually gives me energy. It requires energy, but it also, it's like it kind of like comes out as a 0 because I'm exercising my my learning stuff, and it feels good. And I learned something new, and then I may be a little bit fatigued after it, but I also am excited. So that's cool. So yeah, if you can figure out like kind of what your brain is good at, what it kind of enjoys, the way it gravitates, you can maybe figure out ways. Because some people like get restored by talking to a friend, right? Because they lean on their interpersonal relationships, right? And sometimes they'll guilt themselves because they're like, oh, I just spent, like half an hour talking to so-and-so instead of working on my blah that I'm supposed to be working on. But in reality, if you're that kind of person, talking to that person gives you energy back. So you should. You shouldn't just always just deplete until you fall over at the end of the day. I used to do that. That used to be me. Yep. And the downside of the learner mindset is exactly what you have pointed out, is that your brain tends to get bored. So, and it's not always rational about bored. Like sometimes it just runs you all over the place, right? That's where people who feel like they can't, like the minute they sit down to learn something, then they're distracted by something else. That's just your overactive learner, pretty much. And the thing to counter that with, because if you always let yourself get distracted, then you don't really make any headway on anything, right? It's like taking 100 steps in one direction versus one step in 100 directions. And then you'll get frustrated because you aren't making progress, right? So it's a balance. So sometimes it's important to realize that even if you're good at something, or you've been working on it for a while, there is still more exciting stuff to learn. And that's what mini painting does for me. Like I'm at a very high level, but I still learn new ways to think of things, or I integrate something that before I just kind of had to force myself to think about. So getting the mindset that you're in it for the long haul and you're going to really learn, really, go deep dive. Like that can excite your brain too, but you have to commit to it, right? And then when your little distraction brain comes in, you've got to go, nope. Because sometimes your distraction brain is also afraid that it won't turn out as well as you want it to, right? And so then that kind of scatterbrainness can be a fear reaction where you're just pulling away because you're afraid that, you aren't really good at this. You've never been creative. Why should you put more time into this? Get distracted by something else that we can start from the beginning so it doesn't matter if it looks bad, Feel familiar? Yeah, so you would definitely probably have some social strengths there, Zachariah, that you are getting value from interacting with others in a particular way, and it helps you to push through stuff, it's just great. So I'm curious, Zachariah, have you taken the Clifton Strengths Assessment? I don't know if FEMA or any other company, a lot of companies have their employees take it. It's really helped me realize what my brain is trying to do to me. I just wonder what your strengths are, if you have a lot of relationship building strengths, because that would explain that. Yeah. Well, you can, I think, if you just buy the book, you get a ticket for a free, and the book is $20 or $30, but it essentially gives you a free ticket for your top 5. But if you want all of them, then just splurge for it. Yeah. But yeah, do it, because it's so fascinating to see how your brain works. And I've taken almost all of the personality tests at this point, and I feel like Clifton Strengths is the one that really, all of them can give you some insight. And Enneagram gives you insight in a different way. But if you are looking for what are my strengths and the things that I can get energy from, then I think Clifton Strengths is the way to go. Because its whole point is looking at the different ways you can succeed, right? The different talents you have, the different abilities you have that will help you succeed if you double down on them. So yeah, definitely do it. It's fun. I mean, don't blow your budget to do it, but budgeting for it, I think, has been worthwhile for me. It's really informed my work process hugely and my creative process hugely to realize like where I'm undermining myself and ways to get more productivity out of myself and things like that. And like learning the strengths has helped me to be more, to work faster, to work better, I guess. It is, hold on, Clifton Strengths, also called Strengths Finder, Twisted Oma. If you Google Strengths Finder, you'll probably find it. Clifton Strengths. If you like personality tests and you're really interested in improving just the way that you interface with life, I think these are worthwhile. The Enneagram one is different because the Enneagram one can give you a look at like the things you most fear and the things you value most. Like it's different. Whereas the focus of Clifton Strengths is, here are personality traits that are really strong in you, and if you learn to develop these, you can essentially develop your superpowers, right? That kind of thing. So all of the personality tests, read them carefully because they all have different focuses. Yeah, Clifton Strengths. Thank you, Agent Marvel. Hey, Bryce. Yeah, we're doing undead mousy thing, of course, and I'm doing the corporeal to incorporeal thing, so we're kind of figuring out how I want to make that work. But yeah, some people I know are not interested in like the self-improvement train, and you know, I'm sorry I talk about it a lot. That's because I'm like having such success with it compared to where I used to be stuck. That's why I like to talk about it. There we go. Get our little mousy teeths. Teeths coming out here. Never had any personality tests. Yeah, it's pretty cool because even if you just do the top five, their system will automatically look at your other strengths, especially your top strengths, and they will personalize it to you. So that like I'm number one strategic thinking, number one strategic. So I make very quick calls and intuitive decisions about where the next best path is for me in everything. And it's so ingrained in me that I hardly notice it. But that colors all the rest of my strengths, and all the rest of my strengths in the top color how my strategic operates. So that kind of thing. Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody is different. I mean, it's like, there's so much in common through humanity. It's like humans are humans, but at the same time, if you get down to the quirks, that's where we're all different, right? And those quirks can be really impactful. Yeah, there are some ones that are specifically keyed to groups, and those can be useful, especially at like a lot of corporations. I forget which one is the red, yellow, green, blue one, but it's how you relate to people and communicate with people. Bridget had to take that one with her job, and she really liked it because it helped her communicate with her coworkers better. Oh, bye, Twisted Oma. But yeah, so it's like it's cool stuff, and it the energy pennies thing. That's something I borrowed from my favorite writing coach, Becca, how I learned about Clifton Strengths. But so once you know your strengths, each of those strengths has a way to get energy back. So like strategic, I mentioned, it likes to make, it jumps around, it figures out the best path forward. So if I spend like 15 minutes or 20 minutes planning my day, I actually get more energy. Like I feel more energized. And that's how that works. So that's how it can be valuable to you. And that's like if you have like a communication skill as a number one, then talking to people and communicating ideas or what you're thinking about or what you're planning or something that you're wondering about, that can make you feel energized, right? So there's like 34 strengths and they're all nuanced. Some people, a lot of the social influencers have one called Woo, which essentially means you really, really want people to like you, and you have a gift in that direction. You have a gift for connecting with people and in a positive manner, right? And so when you do that, when one of those influencers goes out and connects with their audience in a meaningful way, and their audience like sends them all that love and adoration, it energizes them more than another person might be. So yeah, it's all different. They're all different. There's social strengths and thinking strengths and and then there are strengths like responsibility, where you just put a very high emphasis on accountability and responsibility in your life. And following through on things you've said you'd do gives you energy. So it's like that kind of thing. It's very useful. It's useful for gaming your life. Like, all these things can be life hacks, right? Oh, hi there, Kiki. Oh, look who is really like, hey, it's now exactly 11:01. You're late. You're late for my walk. You're late for my walk. Can I have another hug, please? Please. Can I disrupt your work process, please? Oh, she's being shy about it, too. She knows she's not supposed to. Yeah, okay, Kiki. I guess it's time for your walk. I guess it is. Yeah, I'm getting you. I'm scruffling your head. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. Oh, Clifton Strengths. Mannix, also called Strengths Finder. It's not free, but you can get just your top 5 if you buy their book, which is like, I think, $25. You get a coupon in the back of the book, and you can just get your top 5, which are your most dominant ones anyway. But otherwise, you can pay for like the whole 34 and see what your weak points and your strong points are. It's interesting, and it's really informing my life. So your mileage may vary, but it is cool. Hey there, Keeks. Yeah, Clifton Strengths. It's cool. But all right, I think we will pause there. I've gotten all the bone together for the most part. So now, and the ears, I like the ears. The ears are reading as part of the head, I think, because of this transition we did. So I'm pretty happy with how these have come out, especially with, as long as I keep the eyes glowy and the ears, I can see the relationship between these parts. And I like that. So I think next time we're going to start adding in the black of the hood and start working on some of that stuff. And I might hold off highlighting the rest of the phantom-y stuff until we're absolutely like done with everything else. After I have all of these integrations done, I think I'm going to want to do the highlight the glowy stuff thing. But yeah, so, and this is part of a set in case you came in late and you don't know, these are the Reapercon Mouslings. There was a painting of a watchman on a bridge facing a wraith, and so Jean did a Mousling version of it. But yeah, so it's cool, and we'll get to the Mouslings second, but I really enjoy painting ghosty things, and of course we're doing all like spooky things here for the Halloween month. So tomorrow we're back to Barbarian, who we're turning into a vampire. So I've gotten a lot of his washed out skin tones blocked in at least, and we may do some funky glazing. We're also using limited palette on this one, remember. We're only painting with 5 colors. Everything will be painted with 5 colors. But yeah, we'll do definitely, his name is Bloodbeard anyway, so if anybody's a vampire, come on. So we will do that, and yeah, that's where we are tomorrow, guys. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I will be back, obviously, and fingers crossed that my car repair goes well today, and the Kiki has once again retreated, but I'm sure she'll be back in a second. Yes, have a great afternoon, everybody. Yeah, have a great one. All right, I will see you around. Bye.